dark night of the soul, why it happens before awakening. The dark night of the soul is a phrase that describes a deep period of spiritual struggle and emptiness. It is a period in life where everything feels confusing and hollow, as if the very ground you once stood on has disappeared beneath your feet. Many people describe it as a stage where they feel disconnected from themselves, from others, and even from the meaning of life. It is not just sadness or depression, it goes deeper, shaking the foundation of your very identity. The experience of the dark night of the soul is painful and heart-wrenching because you seem to lose everything you once had. Life no longer holds meaning, and no matter how you try to fight the darkness, it seems to envelop you more and more. You may find yourself asking questions you once avoided. What is the purpose of all this? Who am I, really? Why do I feel so empty inside? What is scarier is that you do not know if you will ever come out of the dark pit. But the irony of the whole experience is that it has a spiritual purpose in one's life. From many spiritual traditions and personal stories, we see a recurring truth. The dark night often comes right before a deep awakening. In other words, the pain is not meaningless. It is a preparation, a cleansing, a dismantling of illusions so that something greater can be born. Why the dark night happens. The experience of the dark night of the soul, though scary, is meant to clear out what no longer serves us. Imagine it as a spiritual fire that burns away the dead wood in your inner forest. When a person has outgrown their current level of understanding but hasn't yet reached the next, they stand at a threshold. To cross it, the old self must break apart so the new self can emerge. This breaking apart is what makes the experience feel so terrifying. The mind, accustomed to old ways of thinking and living, cannot understand why the things that once gave comfort no longer work. Relationships, beliefs, goals, or even spiritual practices may suddenly feel empty. The soul is calling for expansion, but the ego, the part of us that clings to identity and control, resists fiercely. As our minds confront these changes, trying to grow and develop a new sense of self, our ego often fights against the shift. The ego wants to maintain control, to keep things familiar, to avoid the unknown. Growth, however, requires letting go of old patterns, and the ego sees this as a direct threat to its existence. This is why the inner turbulence can feel unending. There is a battle between holding on to the old and opening up to the new. The role of the ego. Our ego, which is our sense of separate self, does not give up easily. It clings to titles, possessions, roles, and even pain because those things reinforce its identity. During the dark night, when these layers start falling away, the ego panics. It whispers thoughts like, "You're losing yourself. You'll never be happy again. Without these things, who are you?" This is why the experience can feel like madness. There is a loss of sense of self, and no clear answers or solutions seem available. But the truth is that this breaking down is essential. Just as a seed must split open before it can grow into a tree, the self must crack apart before awakening. Why it happens before awakening. The dark night of the soul happens before awakening because it clears away what no longer serves the soul. It forces a person to face the emptiness, even if it is uncomfortable. The distractions, the illusions, the masks we wear, these are stripped away. The fears, the doubts, and the false layers of identity rise to the surface, not to destroy us, but to be acknowledged and released. Without this breaking down, true awakening cannot happen. The soul cannot rise while still holding on to illusions. It also happens before awakening to help us let go of false attachments so that we can see the truth. As long as the heart is tied to illusions of control, status, or external validation, it cannot experience freedom. The dark night removes these attachments one by one, often painfully, but always with purpose. During this period, it may feel as though everything is falling apart. The mind resists and tries to hold on to old ways of living, but the harder one clings, the deeper the struggle becomes. It is only in surrender, when the resistance finally weakens, that transformation can begin. Awakening through emptiness. Awakening comes after the dark night because the soul has been emptied. When there is nothing left to cling to, space is created for something new. In that space, a person begins to feel a deeper connection with life. Instead of seeking meaning in outside things, They begin to find it within. What once felt like death becomes the beginning of a new life. The dark night teaches that true peace does not come from outer success, possessions, or approval from others. It comes from a deeper awareness of the self, a sense of unity with life that is beyond the shifting circumstances of the world. For many, this journey is painful, but it is also sacred. It strips away pride, fear, and illusions, leaving only the essence of the soul. When awakening arrives, it does not mean life becomes perfect or free from challenges. Instead, it means life is seen with new eyes. The struggles are still there, but they no longer control the heart. There is freedom in knowing that one's worth does not depend on the outside world. Lessons from the dark night. Those who have gone through the dark night often describe specific lessons they carry forward. Impermanence is real. Everything in life, success, relationships, even identity, changes. The dark night forces us to accept this truth. Suffering can be a teacher. The pain is not pointless. It shapes humility, compassion, and wisdom. The self is deeper than the ego. We are not our titles, possessions, or roles. The dark night removes these masks so we can see our true essence. Surrender is powerful. Control is an illusion. Only by surrendering to the process can awakening unfold. Stories across traditions. The concept of the dark night is not unique to one culture or religion. Mystics, poets, and seekers across centuries have described similar stages. In Christianity, St. John of the Cross coined the term dark night of the soul to describe a time when the soul feels abandoned by God, yet is actually being drawn closer to Him. In Buddhism, practitioners speak of stages of dissolution where old identities collapse before enlightenment dawns. In modern psychology, it can be compared to an existential crisis where the old frameworks of meaning no longer hold. These stories remind us that the dark night of the soul is not a mistake or a punishment. It is a universal stage of transformation, embracing the darkness. So if you ever find yourself in the dark night of the soul, know that it is not the end. It is a passage. It is the breaking of the old self so that a new self can rise. A new self that can be awakened to higher dimensions and possibilities. Only by passing through the darkness can one fully appreciate the light. Just as dawn follows the darkest hour of night, awakening follows the deepest despair of the soul. The journey is not easy, but it is meaningful. It is the soul's way of preparing you for a life of deeper truth, peace, and connection. When you finally emerge, you will not be the same person who entered. You will have shed layers of illusion, and though the scars may remain, they will tell the story of your transformation. And perhaps the most incredible realization will be this: the darkness was never against you. It was always guiding you home.